welcome everybody to another IGF virtual roundtable. Today we're going to be talking about localization in Latin America, and we've got a great panel to join us today and share some of their insights on the region. But before we dive straight into questions, we're going to go around the panel and get everybody to introduce themselves, and then we'll take it from there. So I'll just go in the order that I can see on my screen. And Jack, would you like to go first?
Of course. So thank you again to iGaming Future for having us. I'm Jack Smith. I'm Senior Sales Director here at SportingTech. For those of you who don't know, we are a turnkey solution platform operating predominantly in Latam and African markets.
Amazing. And Yanis?
Hello, thanks for having me. I'm Yannis Paraschos. I am the head of the sportsbook product here in Novibet. We in Novibet operate in Greece, Ireland, Mexico, Italy, Brazil, Chile and Ecuador. And in general, we have great plans expanding in the Latam that we're speaking about today.
Perfect, thank you. And Leandro?
Mi nombre es Leandro Rivas. Yo soy Country Manager de Argentina para BetWarrior. Somos una compañía internacional que ya hace muchos años que está operando en diferentes mercados de Latinoamérica. Y en Argentina estamos operando desde el año 2021. Actualmente estamos operando licencias en la ciudad de Buenos Aires, provincia de Buenos Aires y provincia de Mendoza. En lo personal, hace ya más de 20 años que trabajo en la industria del gaming. Pasé por diferentes áreas de la industria, casinos land-based, juegos lotéricos, y ya hace unos 8 años que trabajo en el juego online, apuestas deportivas, casino y demás. Así que nada, un placer para mí compartir este espacio con todos ustedes.
Thank you. And Andrea?
Hi, Curtis. Thank you for having me here. I'm Andrea Rossi. I'm the Commercial Director for Latam for the Betson Group. I'm located here in Bogota, where we have a Latam hub for the group, so very close to the market. We are going to talk a lot about this topic, I guess, because this is why I'm being invited. So I hope to provide you with some good insights on the Latin American markets. So thank you for having me here.
Great. Amazing. Thank you for that. So we'll dive straight into the first question. I mean, the whole theme of today's conversation is about localization, but I think first thing first, it'd be great to hear from you guys. You know, what does localization actually mean to you? And what do you think are the biggest localization challenges that operators are actually facing in Latin America? Yanis, would you like to talk about this?
Actually, I believe there are several things that a company needs to take into account as they want to enter a new territory. Localization is key in order to attract customers. So the main things that we focused as we started our plans in expanding in the Latam territory is, first of all, secure the product in terms of offering, markets, and all of the stuff that a sportsbook player has to see in an operator. But secondly, we know that it is very important to have boots on the ground, let's say, and actually have local experts who will guide you through and connect you to the right affiliate programs and the right sponsorships, because it is very important to actually give the impression to the people that you are one of them and you care about their individual needs in their territory.
Amazing, thank you. Jack, anything that you think you'd like to add on to that, and in terms of localization, what some of the challenges are?
Yeah, so I can only echo Yanis's points there. So
Yeah,
obviously, slightly different perspective coming from an operator side, where we're obviously more of a provider. But obviously, everything that he's just earmarked there is basically what our providers are, our operators are looking to do.
yeah,
So yeah, localization, it's really harnessing culture. Us for a technical provider is actually leaning on their expertise and knowing what their players like. And then obviously making sure that our offering and our product stands up against that. So if we talk about like our sector for this purpose of this conversation, for example, we'll focus on presenting our services to a certain demographic, and creating like what we call a convenience factor. So that goes from logging into the site, ease of use, navigation, depositing funds, making sure you have the right payment methods, finding the event or the competition or the game that you're looking for through ease of use. So for us, those are all really key importances. And like I said, we would lean on the operator who knows their market better than anyone to kind of harness that.
yeah. I mean, Jack, I was on a bit of an additional point to that. I just wondered, from your experience speaking with different operators in the market, a lot of the things that you said, maybe to some might seem quite, obviously very necessary, but do you think they're being prioritized enough? Do you think that operators do recognize the importance of localization as much as they should, or is it still work to be done there? Just from the kind of conversations that you have with people in the market.
Yeah, I would definitely say from our perspective, it's something that we see quite regularly.
Okay.
Obviously, tier one operators looking to move into new markets. And obviously, roadmap is key for everyone, right? So if you're trying to move into a market that you're not currently participating in, your product doesn't always stand up. So it's easier to kind of pair with a third party whose product does fit that narrative and that market in particular. So I would definitely say that majority of operators do look to lean on those with expertise and take some of the expertise that other operators on that platform are using and kind of harness that to their own advantage. But there are still, obviously, we know that some of the bigger operators that look to come into any particular market, and there is almost a sense of bravado that they feel that they can enter a market and kind of take over. History has shown it doesn't just have to be Latam. There's other markets that it's happened in whereby they come in and they make a big splash, and years down the line they're making a swift exit with their tails between their legs. So I would definitely say, there is definitely a need to kind of harness localization.
Okay, brilliant, thank you. Leandro or Andrea, any points to add on to this? Be great to hear your thoughts.
Bien, a ver, desde mi punto de vista, localizar, ¿sí? Implica muchas cosas, entre otras, digamos, creo que implica ofrecer en un determinado país los eventos deportivos que son relevantes para ese país, ¿sí? Los sitios regionales normalmente hablan de o comunican las ligas europeas o finales quizás de alguna copa regional, como puede ser la Copa Libertadores o la Copa Sudamericana. Y los sitios localizados, en cambio, promocionan las ligas locales, los eventos internacionales donde juegan equipos de su país o partidos de la propia selección. Entonces, ese para mí es un aspecto de la localización que es importante. Después también significa localizar un producto, contar con el contenido de juegos que resulta más atractivo para un determinado país. También es importante poder recibir depósitos y hacer retiros en la moneda local. Localizar, desde mi punto de vista, también implica contar con redes sociales exclusivas para ese país, ¿sí? Y trabajar también con una red de influencers y utilizar medios de comunicación locales. Después hay cosas como más técnicas que también hacen a la localización del producto, que puede ser, por ejemplo, en lo que es apuestas deportivas, mostrar las cuotas de acuerdo a la preferencia de cada país. Hay países que están más familiarizados con un sistema de cuotas decimal, otros con un sistema americano o el sistema fraccionario. Entonces, un producto regional quizás ofrece la misma forma de visualizar las cuotas para todos. El localizado está ajustado a las preferencias de ese país. Y, digamos, creo, en cuanto a los desafíos, creo que los principales desafíos tienen que ver con encontrar recursos humanos en cada país, quienes idealmente deberían tener experiencia en la industria y que puedan entender el ADN de la marca y la forma de comunicar. Yo creo que eso, por ahí va uno de los desafíos más importantes que existen al momento de localizar un producto.
For me, localization is everything, and it's a lot. It's a lot of things that has to be taken in consideration when you decide to target a market or a region like Latin America, which is like a huge continent with 33 countries, which are one different to the other. Of course, there are two languages, Spanish and Portuguese, but every in each country has their own lingo, so you need to adapt to that. But it doesn't mean that it's just product and language, or how you adapt to one in each market in terms of your offering. It's so much more than that. It goes beyond that. It's adaptation to the culture of the market that you are in. It's the ways you're using the ways you're doing business differentiate market to market. There's a relationship with authorities that has to be managed country by country. There's laws that are different between every and each market in Latam. There are taxation differences. There is financial management that is very different one to each other. So it's so much more complicated than just thinking on product, on how you face a market. So you need really to get into that specific market and understand all the dynamics going there. And you need to really also understand the people you work with in your team and support them. And they support you to understand how you need to behave or act in their market where they are the expert at the end. So you need really a big level of adaptation in order to be successful in Latam. If we consider Latam for every in each country.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So just moving on, and I know, we have different kinds of operators here in terms of which countries we're operating in, but would you say that all LATAM countries are different? And what would you say are some of the key market differences between the markets that you operate in? Leandro, would you like to touch on this first?
Bueno, yo creo que cada país tiene sus propias características, pero eso no significa que sean radicalmente diferentes, sobre todo cuando hablamos de una misma región. Siempre va a haber cuestiones que son comunes a los diferentes países y obviamente también hay diferencias. Actualmente, como mencionaba en la presentación, yo soy responsable de la operación de Argentina de BetWarrior, y lo que sí puedo decir que una de las características que encuentro distintiva frente a otros mercados es que en Argentina la vertical de casino tiene una presencia muy, muy fuerte, inclusive algo superior a las apuestas deportivas. Puede ser que sea un tema de madurez de mercado, es algo que estamos viendo cómo sigue evolucionando.
Amazing, brilliant. And Jack, do you have any thoughts on what are some of the biggest differentiators between some of the Latin American companies?
Sorry to cut you in there. We're in a unique position, obviously, working in different markets and
Right.
different strengths and operators having different requirements. So I would say very much so. Okay. There's like an element of naivety as well, that Latam can be split simply down the middle between Spanish speaking and Portuguese speaking.
Right.
And look, there is differences between the two, but then you could go as far as saying that there's idiosyncrasies between some of the Spanish speaking nations as well. So if you take Mexico, for example, using US odds. So we'll be the only operator or the only market that kind of adheres more to the US than the rest of the continent. And then also their desire to watch things like NFL and NBA will sit that much higher than, say, the likes of an Ecuador or a Chile or a Peru. So there are elements that are very similar. But then obviously at the same time, there are things that are more synonymous to kind of Europe and how the way that we operate as well. So yeah, I would very much say that there are differences.
Amazing. Yanis, I know that you operate largely in a couple of main regions in Latin America. Do you have any thoughts on this at all, or you think it's been said?
Well, yeah, as Zach said, Mexico is a good example because even if they speak the same language as the Latin American, they are basically almost US customers, let's say. They care about these types of products. But in general, I believe that specific products per domain are key. For example, you can't enter Brazil without a good beach volley product. It is a national sport for them, but it doesn't apply to the rest of the Latam territories. And on the other side, I know for a fact that in Chile, paddle is a new sport that it is very upcoming. So wherever you enter, you need to basically do your proper analysis and focus on the key products of each territory.
Okay, perfect. Andrea, any further thoughts on this at all?
There are many differences besides the cultural aspect that has to be, as I was saying, considered when you decide to to enter in a market. So there's a lot of things that has to be taken in consideration, although few are in common. So there are few things that you can find in each market. But as I was telling you, the really need to get really into the culture is very, very important. And also you need to consider the level of maturity of the industry in each market, because there are markets where online gaming in the specific is quite new. There are other markets where online gaming is on a certain level of maturity. Of course, it's a new industry for Latam as a whole, but there are some differences. So there's the adaptation of product and languages, or how you communicate to every niche in every niche market. But there's also the need to really understand the level of maturity of a market, the financial situation, the economy. So there are many things to take in consideration.
Okay, great. So I mean, we've spoken a lot about some of the key elements of a good product, but one of the things that the trends that we're seeing emerging is the kind of a modulated approach, where it's kind of built in building blocks, and different apps, APIs, and different plugins are kind of brought together on one platform. I mean, do you guys have any thoughts on this trend in regards to modulated platforms and using building blocks to create the perfect product? How easy is this to do? I'd like to start with you, Yanis, on this, if you have any thoughts.
Well, again, from the sportsbook's perspective,
Yeah.
it is a complex answer, let's say, because on the one hand, basically you are forced to act based on the platform that you already operate. For example, we have our own platform, and it's a pretty robust one, and allows our traders to actually localize our offering in these territories without using any third-party pricing. This is a very big win for us because we don't rely on others. But at the same time, it depends on your platform and what it can and can't do. So for us, for example, we know that we have a great soccer product, but other sports that weren't relevant for us up until now, these need to be outsourced and actually find a provider. For example, the E-leagues like the FIFAs and the NBA 2Ks, those are major products for LATAM, and this is something that you need to take from outside and build your platform with it.
Right. Okay. Brilliant. Jack, do you have any thoughts on this, on the trend of modulated platforms?
Yes, I think this is, so from our perspective, it's super important. So you look at many operators across the continent who have obviously historically operated in, say, like land-based, moving now into the online space. I wouldn't necessarily say that the market's immature, but it's certainly starting to pick up some of like the habits and the trends that we're more used to in Europe. So obviously as part of that, you have to put huge emphasis on a modulated platform, right? It's something that we focused on personally with our own product suite. So you just needing the need to stay agile, and be able to react to market trends as well. Obviously, if you're stuck with something that's very static, then it's very difficult to kind of keep up with your competitors and stay relevant in the market space. So yeah, for us, naturally, look, we've seen operators grow at such a rapid speed in Latam, and then now kind of moving into that phase where they kind of look for a more personalized service, their own technology. But then there's also the need to lean on some of the aspects from a technical perspective that some providers are better at, whether that be sportsbook APIs, PAM, bonus engines, for example. So yeah, from our perspective, it's really, really important that you're able to be agile and not like to call them bolt-ons, but to kind of add that additional value to your service.
Amazing. And Leandro, what are your thoughts? Is this something that you've had much experience with at Bet Warrior? Yeah, let me know what you think.
Creo que no hay una forma única, ¿sí? de hacer las cosas, de preparar los productos para operar. Yo creo que posiblemente las plataformas modulares sean buenas opciones, ¿sí? Porque uno puede buscar al mejor proveedor de cada módulo, ya que creo que es difícil encontrar una plataforma que sea excelente en todo lo que hace. El gran desafío para mí de las plataformas modulares es su integración tecnológica, ¿sí? Entonces, personalmente creo que no es un proceso simple, y es súper importante hacer un análisis técnico exhaustivo para entender la convivencia entre las herramientas, tanto entre sí como con el frontend, ya sea web como con las aplicaciones Android o iOS. Entonces, no hay una receta única, repito, me parece que puede haber, hay excelentes plataformas que ofrecen todo el stack tecnológico necesario para operar, y están también las plataformas modulares. Cualquiera de los dos caminos son súper válidos. Me parece que lo importante es ese análisis, en caso de ir por el camino de las plataformas modulares, ese análisis previo técnico súper exhaustivo para entender la convivencia.
It really depends on the scale of the business you entail to do in Latam. I mean, if we take Latam, which is 33 countries or markets, of course, you need a super strong platform to support different languages, different jurisdictions, different type of regulatory requirements as well. So in a nutshell, if you are in a hurry and if you want to speed up with the entry in a certain market, then of course the modular one probably is the solution that you look for. We have also we have experience into this, because we enter in some markets where sometimes the regulation was more complicated or require more developments of our own in-house platform. So of course you need someone that was, or a technological solution that supports you in order to expand to enter in the market in a fast way. So we call them speedboats. So as soon as we see the opportunity, of course, sometimes we use a third-party modular platform where we can really adapt quickly to the market conditions. But of course, in the long term, your own solution, your own platform, then it's what is really bring you to the next level, because you control your solution, your technology, you can develop it, you can customize it, and then of course in the long term, I would say that your own platform is the best solution. But of course, it's a dynamic market, so you need to really take the momentum and go for it and experiment, of course. So because you need to understand also all the peculiarities of the market and understanding a bit how to operate in that market. And then when you understood, when you have a good idea on how to proceed, then of course your own solution, most probably in the long term, is the best one.
Perfect. Thank you. Okay, and now this kind of brings us to we're almost near the end of the session, but before we go, it'd be good to kind of hear your thoughts on some of the key growth areas that's happened in terms of Latin America going forward. What do you think will be some of the key growth areas? And by that, I mean, you can have that in terms of different verticals, and again, in terms of different countries that you see the most growth coming from in the next few years. What do you think about that, Yanis?
Well, again, having in mind Brazil and the way we operate there, I believe that it is basically, I know for a fact that it's very important to get in touch with great affiliate networks, because these types of networks can significantly up your turnover and your registrations.
Right.
But from this, I understand that the social elements in those territories are very important, because people are used to play in groups and get connected. So creating social aspects and social experiences within your environment are actually key, and are things that companies need to invest and find great concepts, great solutions in order to include more players and more users, let's say, in a more fun environment.
You. Andrea, what do you think about growth areas in Latin America going forward? Where do you see that coming from more specifically?
I mean, as you know, Latin America is a big continent with a lot of fans of sports lover. So it's mainly a sportsbook driven market. But I'm seeing online casino taking space over the region. I'm a casino passion, so of course is what I like, and what is the product that I'm seeing developing. Also seeing the markets where we're in. We have been very strong on the sportsbook side in the past years, but now with the technology developing, live casino, for example, is a very strong product in Latin America. Is very well loved. Playing from the commodity of your home in the studio environment with the dealers and communicate, and it's a very good experience. And now that this product has developed so much that you can find now Spanish speaker dealers, you have Portuguese speaking dealers. So it's really taking over well the several markets in Latam, I would say. But also sportsbook, that is a classic, and the development also of the product offering. There's bet builders, there's a cash out, ACAs. It's very entertaining as well. The streaming, you can watch the games on whilst you're betting. So it's becoming also very entertaining as a product. So it's no longer seen as not speculation, but I want to invest in placing a bet. So it's also a work that we have done as operators in order to educate customers that this is not a way to make money. Is a way, or like it's not something that can substitute your work. So it's something that it has to be seen as an entertainment vehicle. But yes, all these features, new features that we are offering to our audience are picking up very, very well. So I'm seeing the market developing in a very strong way. And this is on the product side, but we have to also consider that the growth is coming from the betting to become really popular. So it's becoming very recreational as well as a type of entertainment. And in terms of markets, of course, this is where the growth will come. There's a Brazil regulating, Peru regulating. So there's a lot of things happening in the region. Colombia is also regulated and growing on a fast pace. So we are looking ahead for the next few years to see things settling up and becoming quite important for our business. It's already important on our for our revenue streams, but it keeps growing, and we want to be part of this development.
Great, thank you. And Jack, do you have any thoughts on this at all?
Yeah, so again, we're coming from the social angle. So touching on Brazil, like we've already touched on here. So
yeah. Okay.
Just the social growth in Brazil is just exponential. We see it. There's Instagram accounts and influencers with amassing millions of followers. And that's why we've kind of lent into that whole piece. So developing products around how we can have more social reach. So things like our share a bet functionality, where you can share your bet slip via social media outlets, whether that be Twitter or X, as people now call it, Facebook, Instagram, Telegram, WhatsApp, and just to maximize reach, really. So some of these guys, as we know, like I've just said, have got millions and millions of followers. So the way in which they can obviously transfer their own personal betting patterns and kind of share that amongst their followers, and then naturally create their own affiliate system from that, then that's obviously been something that we've really tapped into. I think on a side note, I think it'd be interesting to see what happens with casino. There seems to be a huge focus on Brazil with regulation around sports betting, and whether the casino part will be a piece of that. For us personally, casino is a huge part of our operators' businesses in Brazil. So it's interesting to see now whether with the hefty license fee costs that they're going to be charging into Brazil once the regulation kicks in, whether there's going to be an emphasis on operators to kind of push sports betting at a high level to claw back some of that licensing cost. So it's interesting times ahead.
Yeah, for sure.
May I swoop in on this one?
Yeah, Chloe, sorry to cut you. Go on.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. Actually, what Jack said is really important about the casino and the way that users experience casino. This is something that we can see in the sportsbook as well in these territories, because we see that people are shifting to faster gratification, faster betting. So another area that someone has to focus are the virtual products that were originally in sportsbooks for the last 10 years, but also the simulated reality leagues and the FIFAs, as I said earlier. So all of these, along with micro betting or other fast-paced sports like table tennis or other, all of them are actually key to attract the newer ages, the younger ages, and the new customers.
Amazing. Thanks for that, Eric. Thank you. Leandro, any thoughts on this at all?
Bien, creo que hay mucho para crecer por el lado de afiliados en esta región. La oferta actual tiene que ver con una realidad de muchos mercados que se operan con licencias offshore. Latinoamérica está yendo hacia un mercado regulado, poco a poco, donde las condiciones, ¿sí?, de operación y los márgenes son diferentes a cuando se opera con licencias offshore. Creo que los afiliados actuales van a tener que ajustar sus productos, ¿sí?, y márgenes a esas nuevas realidades, y creo que también van a surgir y están surgiendo oportunidades para nuevas empresas, ¿sí?, para nuevos players. A su vez, ¿sí?, producto también de la regulación, creo que muchas operaciones físicas actuales se van a animar a competir en el mundo online. Y eso va a generar oportunidades para todos los proveedores de productos y servicios de la industria, ya sean plataformas, medios de pago, juegos, empresas que brindan servicios de seguridad, marketing, ¿sí? Etcétera. Yo entiendo que es un mercado con mucho potencial y creo que los que estén interesados, las empresas que estén interesadas en crecer en Latinoamérica van a tener que invertir tiempo y recursos, ¿sí? Para hacer un poco de docencia a esos potenciales operadores que van a estar incursionando en el mundo online, y también tiene que estar apostando, digamos, al mediano largo plazo, esas empresas que quieran desembarcar en Latinoamérica. Nada, porque me imagino algunos años de entender el mercado, y después sí va a estar la posibilidad de poder empezar a recuperar la inversión.
Thank you. Okay, then this moves us on to our last kind of question for today. Because we've talked about a lot of the different aspects that go into making a good product for Latin America, and really just, you know, putting the customer first. But I mean, a lot of this can take time and resources, and I just wonder what you guys think is most important, whether it's speed to market or quality of product, because often the two don't always go together. Is it possible for the two to go together? You know, I suppose that's something to be discussed. It'd be great. I saw you smile a little bit there, Jack. I don't know. What do you think on that kind of topic there?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. What's the age-old analogy? Slow and steady wins the race. But I think there's key components to this. So first and foremost is finding the right partner. So if you're entering a market that you feel that could add growth to your operation, then it's seeking the right partner that can help you do that, especially if you don't feel that you have the product suite to enter it and really and make a difference. So without obviously self-promotion, operators would come to us, for example, for markets that we're strong in as a platform. And therefore there's that obviously that speed to market piece where we can help because we're able to get operators into markets quicker than being able to do it themselves. But at the same time, talking from obviously with the brands that we have on this panel today, most of them on their own technology, they will probably lean towards, without putting words in their mouth, that having the right products and taking time to make sure that your first entry is a big grand splash is probably the right way to go. And I mean, they can touch more on this, but I know from previous roles that I've worked in different companies, the cost to acquire players once you've lost them is far more expensive than actually that initial acquisition of a player. And obviously Yanis has touched on affiliate programs and things previously. So you really do in this industry, you get one shot to make a good reputation for yourself. And if you ruin that reputation, then obviously it's very costly further down the line trying to then to salvage it. But that would be my point.
And what do you think, Yanis? Do you agree, or do you have another perspective to add?
Well, honestly, being for 10 years a trader and then a product guy, for me, quality of the sportsbook is imperative. It's the most important thing. But I understand that this isn't the case always, because let's say Brazil, in this case, it was very important for the company to actually enter now before it gets regulated, in order to have a great start and acquire the license when the market gets regulated. So I believe it depends on the case. You need to enter a new market with a localized product and a robust product, but on the same time, you don't have time to spend, and you need to be as fast as your competitors at least.
Amazing, thank you. And Leandro, any thoughts? What do you think is most important, speed or quality?
Sinceramente, creo que hay que encontrar un equilibrio entre ambos, ¿no? Entre la velocidad y la calidad. Porque si se espera tener el producto 100% listo para salir a operar, eso puede hacer que no salgas nunca a operar. Pero por otro lado, tampoco se puede salir con un producto que no funciona correctamente, porque puede generar una imagen muy dañina en el mercado, ¿sí? Un daño para la imagen de la compañía. Creo que lo más razonable es salir cuando las principales funciones del producto funcionan correctamente, ¿sí? Y tratar de acomodar lo que falta lo más rápido posible una vez ya lanzado, ¿sí? Cuando uno ya está en producción, como que todos los tiempos siempre se van acortando, y a veces cuando uno está en la parte preproductiva, los tiempos tienden a hacerse un poco más largo. Entonces, salir cuanto antes, pero cuando todas las funciones relevantes del producto estén listas, para mí es lo importante. Y recién cuando ya el producto está sólido, o sea, se salió con lo básico, se ajustó lo que estaba faltando, bueno, cuando eso está firme, sí, me parece que es el momento de comenzar a realizar la inversión fuerte en marketing para dar a conocer la marca.
Okay, and Andrea?
You're asking to a commercial person, so of course speed to market is key, and I mean it's important. But I truly believe that I'm putting on a side my commercial willingness of being fast, but I truly believe the product experience is key for success. So of course, when you, as we were discussing before, about the modular or in-house platform, also this is a good connection, because to go fast in a market sometimes with on a technological platform that has, for example, as I was telling you before, ours manages 23 jurisdictions, 15 languages, and so it's a big piece of technology to manage. So it depends on how hurry you are to get into the market. So you don't want to lose the momentum, so you need to go fast, because the industry is developing super rapidly. So today there's something, tomorrow there's a new feature that you need to replicate, or you need to develop in order to close the gap. So you need something really fast in terms of development. But at the end, the stability, the page speed that has to be fast, the response of the website, the easiness to navigate, especially in Latam, which is like a kind of a new way of using the online entertainment, right? So you need to be really easy to be understood from the customer point of view, and that is the part that the platform has to grant you: stability, easy way to register, to start playing, placing a bet, withdrawing. So those elements are very important. So you don't need really a super technological features that are for the engagement part. It's quite simple, and you need to have the ABC in order to be successful. Then you can do the C, D, the D, the E, etc. But of course, product it's the priority. So you need to have a good product in order to be successful. Then it can take you a bit more, but if your ambition is to be successful, then the focus has to be in your product.
Excellent. Well, gentlemen, something that we could probably talk about all day. Unfortunately, we are limited for the time that we have today, but I'd just like to take this opportunity to say thank you so much for your time. Very much appreciated. And of course, thank you to the viewers for watching today. Very much appreciated. And we look forward to seeing you all very soon on another episode of the iGaming Future Virtual Roundtable. Thank you all.